Hi everyone, my name is Becky and welcome to My Weight My Way. This is the first of the longer videos that I'm going to do as a bit of a video log for me, as I wanted to come in and do kind of these weekly, all based around my impending surgery and also about the prep work and things that I'm doing as well. So yesterday marked the end of the first week of my 12-week pre-op, which meaning that 11 weeks today I will be having surgery. Now, I have mostly been doing kind of updates and things over on TikTok, so please feel free to add me on TikTok and have a look, follow, and all of that stuff, because there's a few kind of in between updates and things on there as well. But I'm very much keeping it real. This is me, no filters, nothing like that. This is just as it is, saying it as it is, being as it is, and just kind of, yeah, being truthful and honest about everything that happens. So to kind of give you guys a bit of a recap on what I've kind of done, so I have made the decision to undergo bariatric surgery. It was not an easy decision to arrive at, and it is I've had a lot of time to think about it and process it and understand what it actually means, because it's not a quick fix. It's not a quick fix for losing weight. If that's your attitude going into this sort of thing, then it's going to hit you like a ton of bricks, because there is so much change that is needed to support this moving forward. It's not something that can be used on its own. It's a very, very strong tool to help you get to where you want to be, but you still need to do things to help maintain those changes as well. And for example, diet, lifestyle, activity level, and things like that. So for me, I have mostly a sedentary life, and for the last 10 or so years, I have not done a lot in terms of keeping fit and healthy. So I have basically got to the point where I am, according to the NHS and the BMI scale and all of that lot, I am morbidly obese. I am 5'7", and I did my first weigh in yesterday, because I got my scales through, and I am 20 stone and 5 pounds. So that gives you an idea where I'm starting off from. I will try and post a copy in this video somewhere of the stats that came out of the weigh-in, because the scales that I've got measure other things as well as just weight, and actually that in itself has been really, really helpful. So the reason why I want to make changes is I turned 40 last year, and it's not just a getting old thing, but it is in a sense, because things don't work as they used to. My joints aren't as nimble and as supple as they used to be, and that's partly due to age and partly due to just not doing anything. So I'm hoping that by doing something, I obviously can't get younger, but by doing more, it will help my joints become better, and yeah, just try and start to repair some of those things that have declined, shall we say. So I am not doing this for purely aesthetic purposes, put it that way. Whilst I would not be sorry to be slimmer, it's definitely going to be good and nice to be slimmer. I would imagine I will feel more confident and things like that, but I don't hate myself now. I am quite happy with me as a person. I don't see my weight as something that I am kind of negative towards. Don't get me wrong, most people want to change, and I, like I said, I'm not going to lie, when I'm slimmer I'm probably going to be a bit happier in my own body, but there is also the fact that it can have negative effects as well, and a lot of people go through stages where even when they've lost the weight they still haven't repaired that emotional aspect, the mental aspect of it. And that's where kind of things like body dysmorphia and things come into it as well. So really, really important to bear those sorts of things in mind. And I know I'm just kind of talking about what I'm thinking about. So the weight came through on the scales yesterday, like I say, 20 stone, 5 pounds. What I did find really interesting actually going through this process was, because I haven't weighed myself in over 10 years, I had to buy a set of scales to start this off. And basically, because I'd committed myself to weighing myself, I started off this whole process when I first discussed with the surgeon and the coordinator, and I said that I was going to be around the 20 stone mark. That was where I was kind of confident that I was sitting. Even though I hadn't weighed myself, that was roughly where I thought I was going to be. So that was what I'd always gone by. That was what I told them. Then I committed to weighing myself, and on reflection yesterday, when I actually thought about it, I went from the beginning of the week saying, yeah, I'm around 20 stone. It got to the midweek point and I was like, yeah, I'll probably be around 24, 25 stone, mid-20s. Then it got to Friday and Saturday and I was like, yeah, I'll probably be upwards, sort of late 20s, sort of upper 20s, so around 28 stone maybe. So in the space of a week, I had nearly increased my weight mentally by nearly 10 stone. And that's how dangerous things can be when you focus on something like weight, or for me, when I focus on something like weight. It works for some people and that's absolutely fine, but this is just my experience. So that was really, really interesting, because I know that I'm going to have a bit of a mental block when it comes to weight, the actual number on the scales. And it's not that I will feel bad in myself, it's not that I will look potentially overweight, but it's getting around that stigma of that number. So I am being very, very conscious around not doing too many weigh-ins from a weight perspective. Now, obviously, I need to be monitoring weight. However, I don't want to be getting hung up on the numbers. So these scales that I've got, these smart scales, actually measure, like I say, a number of other things, which is really interesting because they actually help put things into perspective. So for those of you that don't know, I, in a past life, many, many moons ago, used to train really heavily. I went through years of training for strength training, and I competed in strongwoman competitions. I then also changed my direction and went into competing in a bikini on stage. And again, I'll try and post a picture up so that you can see it. Honestly, it's like, yeah, if I could get back down to that, that would be amazing. But yeah, I'll try and pop a picture up so that you can see. But it means that the way that I look at my weight and my body composition and the way that I am is very, very different to someone else. So what I mean is someone focusing on weight rather than body composition. Body composition is my main thing that I'm interested in, because I will never get down to what I consider to be an acceptable weight for my height, which is where the whole BMI thing does not work for me. I remember being like my picture, and in that bikini body ready stage, for me anyway, I wasn't by any means like a bodybuilder or anything like that, but I remember going into the doctors, and I think it was over hormones, or something like that, and they said, oh, what's your BMI? And they weighed me at the time, and he basically said, oh, he said, well, you are obese. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm literally stood here like my picture. I'm not obese. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Excuse the French. But I was just, yeah, I was mortified, absolutely mortified. And actually, when I left that doctor's, I got myself so wound up and eventually so angry with them that how they could make me feel like I was, yeah, like basically pointing a finger at me saying, well, you are obese. And I'm like, I'm not being funny, but I was muscular. I know I still had body fat, but I was muscular, and muscle is heavy and dense, and it's just, honestly, I just couldn't believe it. So I've never really been a fan of weight and BMI and things like that. So I was looking at the figures last night, and actually, consequently, and I'll try and do another post about this, because it's something to talk about in its own right. But I have been using ChatGPT to have some conversations around different approaches to weight loss and recovery from surgery and things like that. And it might sound really, really weird, but I'll do that separately. So I put my measurements into the conversation that I was having on ChatGPT last night, and it's put it into some context around actually what it means. And it's really helped reframe my mind again around the scales. And I think this is something that I'm going to do every time I weigh in, because it really helped me to not get stuck into that numbers game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, if I can find it, my results from the weigh-in, and also then what I got into the conversation with ChatGPT last night. So and I know it's a bot and all of that lot, it is AI, but I'm not going into that. This is working at the minute, and it's, yeah, use it to what works for you. So as I say, I got my stats and I plugged them all into ChatGPT, and I said, this is my starting point. There were other conversations on there and other things around the type of training that I'm going to be doing, putting together the workout plan, because I knew kind of what I wanted to do. I just wanted to tweak it to make sure that I was going about things the right way. And so I came in last night and I was like, okay, so these are the stats that have come out. And this is the response, and I'm just going to read it out on screen. So it says, amazing, you've made the first big move by getting a full data set logged. Now, I have tweaked and things the conversation style with ChatGPT to have it so that it's more motivational and encouraging. So that's why it's kind of wording things the way that it is. So basically it says, this is such a powerful foundation to build from. It's not just about the weight. This gives us a whole body snapshot to help guide your journey strategically, not emotionally. So that's the starting point. And I'm very data driven. It's something that I do as part of my job as well. So it's just worth bearing that in mind. So here's how your starting stats stack up. Try saying that quickly. So my weight is 20 stone, 4.8 pounds. And then it says what it means is your true baseline, just data, no judgment. Then it says next one is BMI, which is the metric. The value is 44.6 on the BMI scale. And what it means and notes is it says not super useful once we track body composition. So we'll let this fade into the background. So what it's saying is we don't need to focus on BMI, which is good because that's the bit that I don't like for me. Next one on the list is body fat percentage. This is the key for me, body fat percentage. And I am currently sitting at around 45%. So the note against this is your primary focus, and we'll bring this down gradually with training, nutrition, and your surgery. So that's the first thing. Next thing is skeletal muscle, because it measures them differently and separately. So my skeletal muscle is sat at 32%, and what it says is that this is actually a solid number. a great base from your strength training background. So that's something that I've possibly developed in my past to get me to be able to be at that level already. So I'm going to continue then with the next one is fat-free mass, and this is where it starts to get interesting. So my fat-free mass, and that is basically if I was to discount all of my body fat from my weight and was just left with everything else, what would that be? So basically it's a 0 body fat percentage. And the weight that it has given me, this was on the Scales app, is 11 stone, 2.6 pounds. And what the notes say is that this confirms your lean mass. Our target weight calculation was spot on. So this was something that I was working on before in the conversation, before I put my stats in, was the calculation. So we'll come back to that in a second. We'll carry on going through them. So subcutaneous fat, 37%. This will respond well to strength work and clean eating. Visceral fat, which is the fat around your organs, is 24%. A key marker that we want to reduce for health. Lifting and going keto should help this. So keto is something that I'm looking at going back into because my body responds to it better. Body water, 37.7%. This is low. So hydration for me is a major focus, and it's something that I have identified as a massive challenge and risk for me. So what it has said is that this will climb as fat decreases and hydration improves. So that's something that we're going to be working on. Muscle mass currently is 10 stone, 7.2 pounds. And the note that it says around that is that this is an excellent starting point. We'll protect and build on this. So in the app itself on the scales, it has like a little slidey from like poor to average to good to excellent and all of that sort of stuff. And my muscle mass was way up in the fantastic section, which is news to me. If I'm being honest, because I thought it would have all gone to pot and my muscle would be out the window and yeah, this would all just be fat. So it's really interesting to see that I've actually still got a solid amount of muscle mass. Yeah, which is great. So next is bone mass, which is 9.4 pounds, which is very normal and a strong indicator. Protein percentage, 11.7%. So that's the amount of protein that's held within the cells, I believe. How it does this, God only knows. But it basically said needs a nudge upwards. Meal prep and focus on clean protein will help. So one of the things that I'd already discussed is introducing more protein into my diet. So protein shakes, eating more protein focused meals. Next one on the list is really important for me, and this is the basal metabolic rate. I'm not going to go into it too much on here. If people want me to, I will do another post on what that is and what it means. Please bear in mind that I am not an expert. I am not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, I am not a workout coach, I'm none of them. It's just stuff that I have looked up over time because I'm interested in what I'm actually doing. So my BMR has come in at 1,903 kilocalories per day. And this is basically, to put it really simply, this is the amount of calories that my body needs to maintain at resting energy levels. So it's really, really helpful for post-operative, post-op planning, and also for diet, like making your diet, basically putting your diet together. And then metabolic age, it says 47, but it says good to know, will drop as body comp improves, but it's not really something that I'm going to be focusing on. So out of all of those items, the key things that I'm going to be focusing on now moving forward is my weight, just because it's an overall trend to keep an eye on. My body fat percentage, muscle mass, fat-free mass, hydration, BMR, and then photos and measurements. So they're the key things that I'm going to be focusing on. So what's really, really interesting about the things that came out is around the fat-free mass, and also the what that means in terms of what my ideal weight will be. So I was kind of originally thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be amazing. I'm 5'7". I'm going to get down to about 11.5 stone. That's not going to be realistic based on that. So if I was to look at what type of body composition I want to have, so from a body fat percentage, do I want to be, they're split it into three. So you've got athletic, fit and toned, and healthy average. And the percentages that it's looking at for those is around 20% for athletic, 24% fit and toned, and 28% healthy average. Now, I know people in the workout industry and things go a lot lower than that 20%. However, that's not for me. It's just not. So actually, if I was to go in the middle at the fit and toned level of 24% body fat, that would mean that my goal weight, and this is why weight makes me balk, because my goal weight would be 14 stone 9 pounds. I'll just let that register, because I looked at this last night when I was doing this and I was like, oh shit, I can't still be like looking at weighing 14 stone. That's insane. And this is where the conversations with chat GPT come into itself, because I was then having some conversations on there with the bot, because it is a bot, around what that means. So, and not getting hung up on the numbers, basically. So what I put into the chat, and I'll read this out because it is interesting, or I hope you find it interesting. So I put, it's very strange as 14 stone seems really quite heavy. And what it's come back with is really interesting, because it's put, it absolutely makes sense that it feels heavy, especially when we've been conditioned to think that lower numbers automatically mean better or healthier. But in your case, that 14 stone range reflects a strong, muscular and toned physique, not excess fat. Here's why it feels strange and why it shouldn't. So muscle is denser than fat. It takes up less space. Two people can weigh the same, but one with more muscle will look leaner, smaller and more defined. If your fat-free mass is 11 stone 2 pounds, that's already a solid base of lean mass, which many women never build even at lower weights. Body recomposition means you can stay heavier on the scale but look dramatically leaner and more shaped. And then the last bit is you're also aiming for functionality, strength and confidence, not just a number on the scale. So the perspective shift. A woman at 14 stone with 24% body fat and a strong frame. 1, has visible definition. 2, feels strong, energetic and resilient. And 3, has a body that's protective post-surgery and metabolically healthy. And the final, like kind of the last bit of blurb is, you're not chasing small. You're building power, balance and beauty on your own terms. If you'd like, I can show you some visual comparisons, and then it kind of goes into offering like bits and pieces on that. So it's really interesting to consider going via weight versus body composition. And I am very, very much leaning towards the body composition. So what it actually did for me, because I have been using it to pull together some pre-op, pre-surgery journal templates, is it's asked me if I want it to include some information for that journal template. So it's added in like my fat-free mass and goal and things like that, but it's also added in a mindset reminder for me. And I'm just going to read it because I've actually added this into my post-surgery journal already as well. So my mindset reminder is that the number on the scale is data, not a verdict. I'm not chasing lightness. I'm building strength, health and confidence. 14 stone with muscle and power is not the same as 14 stone with weakness and fatigue. My body is becoming more capable, not just smaller. So I really wanted to kind of get this out there, and I know this video has been quite long now, like 20 minutes I've been blabbering on for, but I thought it was really, really interesting to go through that. And that's at the end of kind of week 1, because I didn't do it before. And week 1 has been about just starting to change habits. So yeah, I thought I would share that with you guys, and I have done pictures and things, so I'm currently deciding whether to post the pictures of me now. So it will be interesting to see how that goes and if I decide to do it. But essentially my focus at the moment is pre-op, so it's getting myself in the best possible position for my surgery and for the recovery immediately afterwards, and starting to build on those habits that I'm going to need post-surgery to make this work. So I have not been in the gym for over 10 years. However, I went down to a gym on Friday night and have signed up. I will have my first gym session today, and I am quite looking forward to that. So like I say, ChatGPT has been helping me, and I have written my workout plan. I have my book so I can write my weight and reps, because my focus is on weight style training. I am not a cardio bunny. I do not like doing cardio. In fact, I despise cardio. So my cardio is only going to consist of walking, which is probably good for the surgery aspect of it as well. So I have my workout plan ready, and I have my planner that I can take to the gym with me. I have also got this journal that ChatGPT has been helping me to build, which has got kind of pointers and things on there, and then kind of a mindset and reflection at the end of each week, pre-op. And then I have my journal for post-op, and I love this. It's a real shame that they don't do one with kind of pre-op as well, although I don't know how many people actually go through the stage of making changes and things pre-op in readiness. So this is a fantastic book. This was just off the Amazon, and I have started filling in bits and pieces. So yeah, end of week 1. I feel happy. I was really, really happy with that. I had actually estimated my weight quite correctly. And yeah, the photos, again, even though I'm not unhappy with myself, not that I've been in denial, but I've never really actually focused on what I look like now. And I've not given it much weight, without kind of sounding like getting back to weight, but just not giving it much of a thought. I just wanted to be happy in myself, and I am happy in myself. However, actually looking at those photos, and I'm like, yeah, whilst I know I'm fat, and they definitely confirmed that, it's just like, it is what it is. I think that's going to be my mantra through this. It is what it is at the moment, and hopefully it will just continue to change now moving forwards. So I may or may not post the photos, but if I don't, I have got them so that I can track back against them, and I will definitely be putting one of them in my weight loss book, in this surgery journal, because it has a nice little space here for it. And that mantra that I mentioned, I've written that down in here already. So yes, this is it. So we're coming up to 30 minutes of me having blabbered on about a bit of an update. But thank you very much if you've got to this point and you're still watching. I really appreciate the support. Like I said, do head over to TikTok if you want to. But I really do appreciate everybody kind of being here, and this is my way and my way. So hope everybody has a fantastic week ahead, and I will check in next week. Bye.